20 years. That's how long it took before I could even think about going back. 20 years of nightmares and flashbacks and waking up at 0300 hours covered in sweat, back in the jungle, back in the war that never ended in my head. Staff Sergeant Robert Chen, Alpha Company, 173rd Airborne Brigade. Before Vietnam, I was Bobby from San Francisco, first-generation American. My parents came from China in the 40s, ran a laundry in Chinatown. I was the first to go to college. UC Berkeley, class of '66, drafted 6 months after graduation, spent 13 months in Vietnam, '67 to '68, the Central Highlands, Dak To, Hill 875, places that sound like nothing to most people but mean everything to the guys who were there, who fought there, who died there. I came home in December '68, landed at Travis Air Force Base. No parade, no welcome home. Just process out, get your discharge papers, put on civilian clothes, and disappear back into society like you'd never been gone, like you'd never seen what you saw, done what you did. Spent the next 20 years trying to forget. Tried to pretend Vietnam never happened, never talked about it. Not to my wife, not to my kids, not to anyone. Just buried it, pushed it down. Went to work every day at my father's laundry business. Came home, ate dinner, watched TV, went to bed, woke up screaming. Every night, 20 years of every night. My wife, Linda, married her in '72. She tried to understand, tried to help. But how could she? She wasn't there, didn't see what I saw, didn't do what I did, didn't carry what I carried. "Maybe you should talk to someone," she'd say after a bad night, after I'd woken up shouting, thrashing, fighting invisible enemies. "I'm fine," I'd tell her. Always the same lie. Always. Then in 1987, my son Michael, 22, same age I was in Vietnam, he asked me about the war. Really asked. Not the casual questions people ask. The serious ones. The ones that dig. "Dad, what was it like? What did you do over there? Why don't you ever talk about it?" I couldn't answer. Couldn't find the words. Just sat there staring at him while 20 years of memories crashed over me like a wave. That's when I knew. Knew I had to go back. Had to face it. Had to see if the places that haunted me every night still existed, or if they'd been erased by time. If Vietnam had moved on, even though I hadn't. I told Linda I was going. She didn't try to stop me. Just asked, "Are you sure?" "No," I said, "but I have to." I booked a flight for March 1988. Tourist visa, organized tour group, Americans visiting Vietnam. Some were veterans like me, others were just curious. Wanted to see the country, the culture, the history. I didn't care about culture or history. I cared about finding the places I'd left pieces of myself, seeing if I could put them back together, or at least understand why I'd never been whole since I came home. March 15th, 1988. We landed at Tan Son Nhut Airport in Ho Chi Minh City. That's what they call Saigon now. Changed the name after the war ended, after they won, after everything we fought for disappeared. Walking off that plane onto Vietnamese soil, it hit me harder than I expected. The heat, the humidity, the smell, all exactly the same, like I'd never left, like 20 years dissolved in an instant. My hands started shaking. Couldn't stop them. Couldn't breathe right. Panic attack. Right there on the tarmac. One of the tour guides, Vietnamese woman, maybe 30, she saw me struggling. Came over, spoke English with a French accent. "First time back?" she asked. "Yeah." "You were here during the war?" "Yeah." "It's different now," she said. "Peaceful. You'll see." Peaceful, right. Like changing the name and planting trees over the bomb craters made it peaceful. Like the ghosts disappeared just because the war ended. We stayed in Saigon. I couldn't call it Ho Chi Minh City, couldn't do it, for 3 days. The city had changed, modern buildings going up, economic reforms happening, Vietnam opening to the world, the war fading into history. But I could still see it. See the Saigon I remembered, the sandbagged checkpoints, the military traffic, the helicopter gunships flying overhead. Couldn't walk down 2 Dew Street without remembering the bars, the brothels, the soldiers on R&R trying to forget for a few hours what they'd seen in the jungle. I visited the War Remnants Museum. They call it that now. Used to be the Museum of American War Crimes. Changed the name when they normalized relations, made it more palatable for tourists. The exhibits showed the war from their perspective. American atrocities, Agent Orange victims, civilian casualties, all true. All things that happened, things I knew about, things I'd seen, things I tried to forget. But what about the other side? What about the massacres at Hue? What about the terror campaigns? What about the fact that this was a war and both sides did terrible things? Didn't matter. This was their museum, their history, their version. I was just a visitor now, a tourist, not a soldier, not an enemy, just someone looking at photographs of a war that destroyed us all. March 20th. We flew to the Central Highlands, to Pleiku, near where I'd spent most of my tour, near the places that haunted my dreams. The helicopter ride up, civilian helicopter now, taking tourists. I sat by the door and looked down at the jungle. The same jungle I'd humped through for 13 months. The same trees that hid the enemy. The same terrain that killed so many. Except it wasn't the same. The jungle had regrown, reclaimed the fire bases and landing zones, covered the scars, hidden the evidence, like the war had never happened. But I knew it had, knew exactly where FSB 16 used to be, where Hill 875 was, where we'd fought for days over ground that looked like every other piece of jungle, ground that was worth dying for then and meant nothing now. We landed in Pleiku. The city had rebuilt, grown. The airfield was still there, civilian now, but the military installations were gone, torn down, turned into farms and houses and normal life. Our tour guide in Pleiku, older man, maybe 60, he'd fought for the North Vietnamese army, veteran like me, just on the other side. He saw me looking at the old airfield, saw something in my face. "You were here?" he asked in broken English. "Yeah, 67 to 68. I was here too, fighting you." We looked at each other, 2 veterans, 2 sides. 20 years later, standing on ground we'd both bled on. "I'm sorry," I said. "Don't know why, just came out." "Me too," he said. What else was there to say? I asked the tour organizers if I could visit the area around Dak To. They hesitated. It was remote, difficult terrain, not on the standard tour. "Please," I said. "I need to see it." They arranged it, small group, me and 2 other veterans who'd fought in the area. We hired a local guide and drove out in a beat-up van on roads that barely existed. November 1967. That's when we fought at Dak To, Operation MacArthur, the 173rd against North Vietnamese regulars in the hills around the city. Some of the worst fighting of the war. We took Hill 875, took it over 4 days, lost 158 men doing it. I was there, on that hill, watched friends die, killed enemy soldiers, did things I've spent 20 years trying to forget, and now I was going back. The hill looked smaller than I remembered, less imposing, just another jungle-covered hill in a landscape full of them. But I knew it, knew every foot of it. Could close my eyes and see the bunkers, the fighting positions, the bodies. American and North Vietnamese, mixed together in death. We started climbing. The path was overgrown, no trail, just pushing through the jungle like we'd done 20 years ago. Except then we were moving with rifles and radios and the certain knowledge that the enemy was up there waiting. Now it was just jungle, quiet, peaceful, birds singing, like the war had never happened. Halfway up, I found something. Piece of twisted metal. Shrapnel, probably. Maybe from an artillery shell. Maybe from a mortar. Half buried in the dirt, being slowly consumed by the jungle. I picked it up, held it. This piece of metal had been part of the war. Had probably killed someone. American or Vietnamese, no way to tell. Just metal, just death, just history now. We reached the top. The summit where we'd finally overrun the North Vietnamese positions, where we'd planted the American flag and called in airstrikes and thought we'd won. Nothing there now, just trees, just jungle, just silence. I stood where our command post had been, where Lieutenant Morrison had been killed by friendly fire, one of our own bombs landing short, where Sergeant Davis had bled out from shrapnel wounds, where Private Young from Kentucky had sat crying after his best friend was killed. All gone now, erased, like it never happened. But it did happen. I was there. I saw it. I lived it. And here I was, 20 years later, standing on ground that should have meant something, that should have been marked, remembered, honored. Nothing. Just jungle. One of the other veterans, Miller, had been with Charlie Company. He walked to the edge and looked out over the valley. "We took this hill," he said. "Lost 158 men taking it. Held it for 2 days. Then we abandoned it. Just walked away. Left it to the jungle." "I know," I said. "What was it for? What did they die for?" I didn't answer. Couldn't, because I didn't know. Didn't know then. Don't know now. Just know that we fought. We died. We did our duty. And none of it mattered. Not in the end. The hill was just a hill. The war was just a war. And the men who died here were just names on a memorial back home that most people walked past without reading. I found a flat spot, sat down, just sat there on Hill 875 and let 20 years of memories wash over me. The fear, the exhaustion, the camaraderie, the horror, all of it, all at once. And I cried. First time since the war. First time in 20 years. Just sat on that hill and cried for the boys who died here. For the boy I'd been. For everything we'd lost. Miller sat down next to me. Didn't say anything. Just sat there. Both of us crying on a hill that didn't remember us. That had moved on while we never could. We stayed in Dak to that night. Small guest house, basic, clean. The owner was a woman in her 50s, spoke some English, friendly, welcoming. Her son, maybe 30, he was curious about us, about Americans who'd come back, who'd fought here. "Why you come back?" he asked. "To remember," I said. "To see if, I don't know, to see if it still exists or if I imagined it all." "The war exists," he said. "My father died in the war. 1969. Fighting Americans." "I'm sorry." "Me too." I never met him. Just stories. Just photographs. War took him from us. War took him. War took everyone. Took the men who died. Took the men who survived but left pieces of themselves behind. Took families. Took futures. Took everything and gave back nothing but memories and pain. We talked for hours. Me and this young Vietnamese man whose father I might have fought against, might have killed. We'd never know. But we talked anyway, about loss, about war, about how both our countries were trying to move forward while guys like me were still stuck in 1967. "Vietnam has moved on," he said. "We rebuild. We grow. We have future now. Why you not move on?" "I want to," I said. "That's why I came back. To try to move on. And You move on now? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. He nodded. War breaks things. People. Countries. Takes long time to fix. Maybe some things never fix. He was right. Some things never fix. The next day we visited a local village, met with people who'd lived through the war, who'd survived the bombing, the fighting, the decades of conflict. An old man, must have been 75. He'd been a fighter with the Viet Cong, local force, not regular army, just a farmer who fought when he could, farmed when he couldn't. He saw that I was a veteran, could tell somehow. Maybe the way I looked at things, the way I moved, the way I couldn't relax even in a peaceful village. He spoke through our translator. You fought here? Yes. You kill my people? Honest question, deserved an honest answer. Yes. He nodded, thought about it. Then, I kill your people too. That was war. Now war is over. Now we live. We must live. Cannot live in war forever. Simple words. Simple truth. From a man who'd probably lost as much as I had. Maybe more. Cannot live in war forever. But I have. That's the problem. I've been living in war for 20 years. Living in 1967. Living on Hill 875. Living in every firefight and ambush and moment of terror. Living in the past while the world moved on. March 28, 1988. Last day in Vietnam. We flew back to Saigon, to Ho Chi Minh City. Departure the next morning. I walked through the city one last time, trying to reconcile the Vietnam of my memories with the Vietnam that existed now. Trying to understand how the same place could be so different, how it could have moved on while I stayed frozen. I visited the American cemetery at Bien Hoa before it was closed. Rows of white crosses, American soldiers who died and stayed, who never came home, hundreds of them, thousands across the country. I walked among the graves, read the names, the dates, the ages, 19, 20, 21, kids, all of them. Kids who should have lived full lives, should have had families and careers and futures. Gone, all gone, buried in a country they never wanted to be in, fighting a war they never understood, dying for reasons that seemed important then and meaningless now. I found a grave from the 173rd. Don't know if I knew him. Maybe, maybe not. We lost so many, but I stood there anyway. Stood at his grave and said the things I should have said 20 years ago. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you died here. I'm sorry you never got to go home. I'm sorry for all of it. And I meant it, meant every word. Sorry for the war, for the deaths, for the waste, for the fact that we sent boys to die for reasons nobody can explain anymore. That night, I couldn't sleep. Sat on the balcony of the hotel and looked out over the city, heard the traffic, saw the lights, watched Vietnam living its life, moving forward, building its future. And I realized something. Vietnam had won, not just the war, won the peace, won the right to move on, to rebuild, to let go of the past and embrace the future. We hadn't. We who fought there. We lost. Lost the war, lost the peace, lost the ability to move forward because we couldn't let go, couldn't stop living in the past. I came back to Vietnam to find closure, to face my demons, to see if the places that haunted me were real or just phantoms in my mind. They were real. Hill 875 exists. Dak 2 exists. The jungle exists. All of it real, all of it exactly where I left it, but also gone, transformed, moved on. The war that defined my life had become history here. Ancient history, something old people remembered and young people learned about in school. Only I was still there, still fighting, still dying, still trapped in 1967 while the world turned and Vietnam rebuilt and life continued without me. I flew home March 29, 1988, landed at SFO. Linda picked me up, drove me home. I sat in the passenger seat and watched California pass by, my home, my country, the place I'd fought for, and I felt nothing, no connection, no belonging, just emptiness. "How was it?" Linda asked. "I don't know, different, the same, I don't know." Did it help, going back? Did it? I'd seen Vietnam, seen the country move on, seen the people live normal lives, seen the places where I'd fought reclaimed by jungle and time. But I was still carrying it. Still carrying Hill 875. Still carrying every man who died. Still carrying the weight of a war that ended 20 years ago for everyone except the guys who fought it. "I don't know," I told her. "Maybe, maybe not." It's been 6 months since I went back. 6 months of trying to process what I saw, what I felt, what it means. The nightmares haven't stopped. Still wake up at 0300 hours. Still back in the jungle. Still fighting. Still dying. Still trapped. But something changed. Can't explain it exactly. But seeing Vietnam move on, seeing them live and build and create futures, it showed me something. That maybe I don't have to live in the war forever. Maybe I can try to move forward. Try to let go. Try to live in 1988 instead of 1967. Cannot live in war forever. That's what the old Viet Cong fighter said. Simple truth from a man who understood. I've been trying, talking to my wife, talking to my son, talking to other veterans, talking to a therapist. First time ever. Saying the words out loud, telling the stories, releasing the pressure. Does it help? A little. Maybe. Sometimes. But the weight is still there. The memories, the faces, the ghosts. Hill 875, Dak To. All of it. Still there. Still carried. I don't know if I'll ever put it down. Don't know if that's possible. Don't know if guys like me can ever really come home from a war that never ended in our heads. But I'm trying. That's something. After 20 years of not trying, of just surviving, of just existing, I'm trying. I went back to Vietnam, saw the places, faced the memories, confronted the past. And the past is still there, still real, still haunting me. But maybe, just maybe, I can start building a future anyway. Start living in the present. Start letting go of 1967 and trying to be here now in 1988. Cannot live in war forever, but I have. For 20 years, lived in war, lived in memory, lived in the past. Maybe it's time to try something else. Maybe it's time to live, not forget. Never forget. Can't forget. Won't forget. But live, despite the memories, despite the nightmares, despite the weight. Live. 20 years it took to go back to Vietnam. Maybe 20 more to finally come home. But I'm trying. That's something. It has to be.